All right, so now without further ado, let's get into this shocking drag race RuCap, which it wasn't that shocking for me because I had it ruined for me like 2 weeks ago when I was asking about like the top four and all this other stuff. Yeah, it was a bunch of things I was asking about drag race, but yeah, it was ruined for me. But it was interesting to see how it all played out. So yeah, it was the How's Your Head liner episode. And, you know, this is literally the episode before the final four. We crown a winner, baby. Because next week is they bring all the girls that were eliminated back and they do a Lollapalooza, lip sync, smackdown, whatever the hell it's called. So they're supposed to be doing that. So I guess we'll see Ariete and Ariete was brought up in Friday's episode, but we'll get to that. And I guess we'll see Joella, Ella, A back on our screens. Hopefully not lip syncing in that big old tampon runway look that she had. But for the most part, the last episode we saw like the makeover challenge. No queen went home. Sam, per usual, was upset that nobody got to go home because, like, yet again, it's a top five. I was cackling at that because, like, here you go with the shady comment edit situation. It was cute or whatever. So yeah, the girls were just like, yeah, it's a top five. And then after that, what we found out was Ru came into the workroom and just announced that they have to do like some Vegas type situation. And where it's like basically who will become a headliner for the Las Vegas show. So um the final five are feeling ready to take on the next challenge. So Susie basically brings up that since there were no eliminations, that means two of them could be going home. And then I think Ru even came in at one point and kind of implied that it could be by the end of the week, at least she said one of them will be going home, which makes it sound like bullshit. It could be a double elimination. And then we could just have a top three. So what I liked about this episode, after that, the queens pretty much got right to work on how they were gonna sell themselves in the video package. Sam was trying to say, I'm gonna just bring my country diva persona. And I know that some people say I don't know if that would be a good idea, but I was like, no, Sam, lean like whatever your thing is, you should always lean into it. So I totally agree with Sam going into the whole southern, pageant girl type thing, but just be you and just you can amp it up a little bit, but just like I said, just be you. And then Anya was like, I'm gonna just be myself, so I'm gonna just give pure nerve. But funny enough, I didn't notice she had another job, that she was a cook. And drag wasn't something that she was doing full time. It's literally she's been doing it for 3 years. And it's just interesting to be like, she's only been doing this for a short period of time. But it's just like once she did the show, she was really thinking more or less beyond the show, which gagged me when it got to Jules. And Jules got stuck when she had to sit alongside, you know, large but in charge, chunky but funky, Latrice Royale, who I think might still be mad at me. Because one time, well, look, it's a long story. There was a video or something I posted in regards of a little something that happened about the pro-Palestine protesters that I think was at the GLAAD Awards last year. And there was some rumor or something floating around that Latrice was like, really, girl, when they were doing that up in there. And it got around, and one of my friends thought it was cute to tag her in it. And Latrice got in the comments, and she also messaged me. But then before I can read the message, she deleted it. I wish I would have checked it early because I would have screenshot it and I'd have told y'all what she said. But for the most part, I'm like, God damn. I said, why are you trying to be messy? But look, people see it. I don't give a goddamn. You got to realize when you in this podcast space and you saying a whole lot of stuff, people ain't gonna like everything you say. But whatever. I still like Latrice. She is an icon in the drag space. And, I just love her overall energy, demureness, and attitude. So, yeah, the girls were sitting there trying to figure out how they were going to present themselves. So they were working on their packages. They did a photo shoot. And I would say this, with everything that was going on, minus at the end when Jules got stumped, but I think that made her come across more human. Y'all already know, when me talking about these RuCaps, I didn't really see it for Jules. And I think it's because Jules Sparkles wasn't really standing out for me. But I feel like once it got down to the wire, I feel like, I don't know if it was, maybe it could be the edit. Ru said I'd blame it on the edit, but I don't know. Them producers be trying it with these edits and the way they try to present a lot of the girls and stuff on the show. which some people were saying in my comments that they feel like Lexi is going to win because the way they were the way they shot her package or whatever in this episode, hence why I got her picture up here, that they were trying to give this winner's edit. And I feel like if Lexi hasn't been consistently winning challenges like Anya Nerve has been, I like Lexi and I get her story and everything, which gagged me when she talked about how she almost was sex trafficked and how she sent her friends back home and she came back to the hotel and they drugged her up and she was handcuffed to the bed for what she said, like 72 hours. I was like, bitch. Now that was giving me like some full on sex trafficking tease. Like I did not think that she had that kind of life going on. I mean, I knew like she was out there hooking and doing drugs and she got caught up in, she was a Methodist, all that other stuff, but hearing like this dark side of her life. And it's like, yeah, that's cute or whatever, but this is not American Idol. We don't do the sob story thing, and that don't win you shows. I need it to fall within the confines of what the challenges are. And RuPaul's Drag Race has been so inconsistent on what they count. Be it, is it the runways? Is it the challenge? Is it a sob story? Is it this? Is that? I don't know. I just be so damn confused. I just be feeling like, quiet as a skip. These judges have checked out of the damn show and they don't even know what the hell they talk about anymore. Because Ross said a bunch of damn nothing when he was up there in that episode. I'm like, girl, it is time for you. Said RuPaul want to make people sash away. Sis, it's time for you to go because you really not offering anything to the show. Just sit up there, be the sidekick of Drew Barrymore over there on that talk show and call it a day because you're not giving me. I mean, speaking of which, is he still on there? Because I don't even know if he still does the Drew Barrymore show. I know there was like clips and things from years ago. I don't know if he's still with her show, but I don't know why she would get rid of him. Let me know in the chat if he's still there. But so after all their little challenges, whatever, I feel like I could tell even when they were doing the photo shoot and you were looking at the tea thing where she couldn't relax when Lexi couldn't relax her face did crack me up. But she did loosen up when the boys came out. Jules was having the one I thought was the funniest in regards to like, first of all, her photo shoot was just naturally everything. Like the way she was just posing and the way she just looked like, okay, you were just photogenic. You were just giving and delivering in that. But when the dancers came, when the dancers came out in those skimpy outfits and they were making like she said, oh, this is familiar. I did cackle like Rue did. So she was funny. I liked her package and everything that she brought up or she came out with. And then the girls, so after their photo shoots and everything, but I will say this, I almost forgot. Susie, I feel like had the weakest photo shoot because it just felt like awkwardness. And even if I didn't know that Susie was going to get eliminated, I think I would have sensed that was coming because it's just the way that she was coming across. It was giving like they want to see if you give Vegas. I don't get Vegas from Susie too. I don't. She gives me I can perform at Joe's Pub. I'll have a little show or something, and I do Joe's Pub. Very Jinx Monsoon, like very Broadway, very vaudeville theater. Like she gives me that. I don't get Vegas showgirl or Vegas performer from what Susie brings aesthetically. And as an artist, she's a little too out there where the buses don't run. That's what she gives me. So the girl sat down with Latrice, as you can see in the picture, and it was kind of like she was interviewing. It felt like a job interview in so many ways. So yeah, I already talked about the human trafficking incident, and I do like the fact that because of what she's been through, that shows a sense of resilience with Lexi. So you definitely need that, the tenacity and the will and the ferocity to want to make it to the final. But if we talk about challenges and everything, Anya has been on it in regards of the show, like consistently winning challenges and really proving that she's been strong in a lot of situations. Yeah, the fashion stuff wasn't giving, although she did enough to pass by. It wasn't as bad as some of them other outfits and stuff up there. But Anya has been consistent with the challenges. And I love Lexi, but and I understand Drag Race, y'all trying to overcompensate for the fact of how y'all treated trans people in the early stages of the Drag Race show. But we're not just giving out we're not doing the DEI higher equivalent of giving girls crowns just because they trans. Like we're not doing that. Like if it's worth them winning it, then you should do it. Because if that's the case, then we should start giving big girls a win too. And we have yet to get a big girl win over there at I was about to say The Challenge. That's the other MTV show over at Drag Race. So and then I love the fact that Jules did bring up about the whole Ariete thing, where she was like, "Oh yeah, she stole my jokes," but look, the people didn't even laugh at the jokes when she delivered them. So, and then the tree store, she was like, "Did I interview the girl that did that?" She was like, "No." She went home and just said, "See how Karma works? Karma work fast up in here. Sure do." And did. That's what I would have said. So now we get down to Elimination Day. And, it's the final day in the workroom, which you already know. Whenever it comes down to the final day in the workroom, the girls sit and reminisce about, what their favorite moments was on the show and what they each thought of each queen. Where it's like, oh yeah, when you first came into the workroom, I didn't like you, but then you grew on me. Like it's always the same old thing that they ask. And then there was some of the whole squirrel game things. And then also when I saw the squirrel games flash, it literally my brain flashed at the time when I was at the season 17 MTV, red carpet premiere back in what was it, December? I think it was. So yeah, it was just a fun time. And then, be in the room with all the girls and watching the first episode before everybody. So it just took me back to that moment. So then of course now we get down to the girls. And then we get Tracy Ellis Ross as the guest, which I'm like, yay, because the past 2 weeks we had a bunch of I don't know hers in regards to like the judges. I don't know. I didn't know that girl from last week. And Jared Carmichael, when he was up and down, I was like, child, don't nobody care about him. So, but I guess that's what y'all filling that quota of, black people who, in the words of Funky Dineva, are black like this and not like this, where they, that's just Hollywood black homosexual. As long as you attach to a white man, you get a little, situation. So um the performance that they did of Gift Shop was all right. I'm like, this is the new song y'all added. Okay, if you like it, I love it. And the performance was cute, but that's no shade. That song was not memorable. But I did like the opulent outerwear runway challenge. I love Lexi's look. Um, it was cute. Actually, I like the puffer coat more or less than anything. But my favorite look overall of the night, I mean, they all were cute in their own way. Like, I feel like all the girls gave basically notoriously them. It was their identity. I love the huge door knockers on Anya. It looked like a little Mother Africa meets Peacock Tees, the whole, on and then we had oh my God, why did I just blank on her damn name? And I'm looking dead at her too. The one that just got eliminated. Why I was like, she was giving me Auntie Mame, which made me want to actually watch that movie afterwards. So I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to actually watch it. But I liked all the outfits. But yeah, to me, I felt like the one that stood out the most, I like Lexi's puffer jacket and I like Jules' look. Sam was giving me Sam, very pageant girl with the Mrs. Roper cape. Anya was cute. And Susie was giving me Auntie Mame. So then with the critiques, Michelle basically said it was a pleasure to watch Jules sparkle in the competition because they always got to do a damn pun. Can't go a day without a goddamn pun. Then I do think that Jules' package was the strongest. Ross said that her vulnerability was lacking in the interview until she was stumped in the interview. Well, I don't know how vulnerable did you want her to get? Like, if you're doing a job interview, I'm giving you the answers that you're asking me. What vulnerability would you be looking for? Like, it does not compute. I mean, am I crazy when thinking that? It's like if Latrice is asking me the questions that she's asking me, at what point do I get vulnerable? Like, I'll get vulnerable when the time calls for it. And if your question requires me to be vulnerable, I go where the wind blows in regards of like, if you ask me a question, I'll answer it to the best of my ability and honestly. But what kind of vulnerability was he looking for? Sometimes I just think Ross, like I said, be pulling stuff out his ass just so that way he could just say something that sound like something, but it don't sound like nothing. So yeah, so then all the judges liked Jules' outfit. Like I said, I loved the outfit, and Rue did say that she was the easiest to photograph. You could definitely tell like she's so photogenic. And she did seem like she was the easiest. She's good at taking direction and she knew her angles. And I think it's because, you know what, say what you want about a lot of these kids and the fact that a lot of them come up and, oh, you didn't pound the pavement, you didn't do the clubs, even though you can't say it about Lexi, because, I mean, not Lexi. You can't say it about Jules because Jules did come up in the clubs. She started out like her father basically encouraged her to go work in a drag bar performing because he said you need to go make some friends. We found that out last week episode. So she pounded the pavement. But the one thing you can get over on with this new generation of children, but I guess unless you're Susie too, because Susie says she don't know her angles. But if you a lot of these types, and you know, Jules definitely gives like very photogenic, be up there with the phone, taking the selfies, knowing your angles, all that other stuff. So I feel like in this generation, these kids know their angles and how they look and what facial expressions and how to move and all that other stuff when they take photos. Now after then we get to Lexi, where they say after viewing her promotional material, Tracy tells her that she has joy and always bursting out of her. Michelle also said that she couldn't take her eyes off of her during her performance, but Ross didn't love her promo video. But all the judges did love her storytelling in the interview. And then next we get to Anya, whose publicity footage grabs the judges' attention. They also loved her performance, but were left confused by her interview outfit. Rue basically said that she's been guarded throughout the competition and tells her to have a little more fun. Well, it's easy for you to say because Anya is a black homosexual. So when you've been dealing with a lot in life, it's easy to just let loose. I say let her loose. She can't do that. So then we get to Sam, and her promo package is viewed. Ross basically told her that her runway ages her a little, which I do agree. It did make her look a little older. So that's the one time it says something that I agree with in that episode. It was giving very much older lady. I look, did not say Mrs. Roper. Like it was definitely giving that. Great gowns, beautiful gowns. So then they get to but then they said that she came off a little cocky in the interview, which I don't think she did come across a little cocky. I like the fact of when, okay, if you bad on your shit. I don't feel like it came across as cocky. I think it came across as a little confident. I don't know. If y'all felt that she was a little cocky, definitely drop it down in the chat. But I didn't get cocky from Sam in her interview. I was just living for it. Maybe I didn't hear it because when Southern people be talking, it's like they be throwing shade, but it just sounds so damn demure that we just bypass it. So then Tracy basically, so we get to Susie, and they said that she leaned too much into her vintage aesthetic, and you have to realize that when you are selling Vegas or you're trying to go to Vegas, you can't come as and you want to say like you can't go as Susie too. But then who would she be if she couldn't be herself? But you have to kind of embody the overall glamour or aesthetic or the overall aesthetic of like what Vegas is. And when I look at Susie too is giving drag but as Charlie Chaplin. Like she kind of falls into that whole vintage type of look when it comes down to it. And I guess what the main thing what they were saying about with Susie is that they wanted her to look at the full picture and not just get so stuck doing her thing. Because like I said, you have to adapt to different situations. We've seen like when we watch Jinx Monsoon, and that's a perfect example of use of someone who's similar in aesthetic or and even kookiness, like and into the whole vintage, thing, like Susie. When you look at Jinx, she has evolved her look. She has evolved her sound. She has evolved a lot of things that she's done when she versus when she started out on Drag Race. So I think Susie should have taken that into consideration. But I'm sure Jinx has been in Vegas. So now we get down to our bottom two, which happens to be Susie and Sam Starr. And they did a lip sync to Love Child by Diana Ross and the Supremes. Now, both queens Baby, we're trying to get that final spot, and then at the end, it was Susie who was eliminated. So I know like a lot of people was pissed at the Susie elimination, but like RuPaul said, she said, "I will see you on Broadway," which basically was letting her know that yeah, we like everything that you do. We like what you're about. You are that bitch in regards of like nobody can like take away your talent or whatever. And then her exit thing was funny with the tapping on the floor and all that stuff. That was cute. But aesthetically speaking and what you bring, that is not what they're looking for in Vegas. Like you would work better on Broadway. That would basically work a lot more if you were on Broadway versus you doing that in Vegas, because Vegas is a whole nother animal. So, and especially with RuPaul's Drag Race and that whole show is all about. Sidebar, I still haven't watched the 1000th episode one that they did that's on Wow Presents Plus. I need to get around to that. But I'm so far back, I'm so backed up on like shows and things that I gotta watch that I didn't have the opportunity to do it. So yeah. So yeah, that's it. Now next week it's the what is it, the Lollapalooza, the lip sync Lollapalooza, where they bring all the eliminated queens back and they go against each other. Now I'm trying to remember because how did it go last season? I'm like, that don't mean that they're gonna bring whoever wins the Lollapalooza back to compete with the other girls, because we're not going back to another top five. You're gonna keep it as a top four. So I guess I'll refresh my memory when I watch the episode. I ain't gonna be able to watch it Friday because Friday is the next game, and the day before I got Mary J. Blige. So I'll watch it, I guess, when I get home. And then, we'll just bring it up then. And that's another thing too, because they said that it's 2 weeks before the finale. So does that mean that we're not getting a reunion again and we gotta wait until T.S. Madison films it for Bring Back My Girls? Is that the new way that they do the reunion now? Because they did that last season with season 16. We had to wait until T.S. Madison did it when they brought all the queens in for DragCon, and then they had them all on the stage, and they did it for a segment to Bring Back My Girls. But no shade, I would rather T.S. Madison do it because I feel like RuPaul has checked out from doing those reunions. I guess she got tired of getting read by excuse your mouth. Remember her? And the Vixen and a bunch of other ones that got mad at her over how she would approach them on certain things. So I want to hear from y'all. What did y'all think of this last episode of RuPaul's Drag Race? Do you think that Susie Toot was unjustly eliminated? Because look, I even had her as the winner, but however, once I started seeing like how Anya was coming at, clicking her heels up behind her, I was like, I see Anya Nerve pretty much being the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, especially after y'all just did Saphira Crystal dirty and didn't give her the win, because I thought she was gonna win last season. Y'all gave it to Nymphia. Who sidebar? If y'all have not seen her recent episode of the Pit Stop, I recommend y'all actually watch that. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.